to Fly on the Wall. We are your hosts. I am Dr. Jonathan Matthias Lassiter.
And I'm Marquita Moten.
So, who the hell are we?
I'm a master's level therapist with a degree in clinical mental health, out here healing y'all, saving lives, stuff like that. I'm also a writer, healer, seer, doer. All of that.
Uh-huh. And my bestie.
Yay!
And I am a licensed clinical psychologist, professor, author, public speaker, and, if we ever get out of COVID, a choreographer again. It's hard to do it in my little office, but I can do it. But I miss being in the studio with the dancers. But
yeah.
So we are here live and in color. And so what we talk about today, Keita?
You tell me. What are we talking about today?
Well, I think we can jump off into it, thinking about, what we wearing first. Right.
Reclaiming time.
Reclaiming of the time. And so with that in mind, the election is coming up. We've talked about the election on here, in the last few shows because it's really the only news that's happening, that people seem to care about. There's other news, but that's the only news people seem to want to talk about. There's the news like, I got good rest. That's news to me. So I'd much rather talk about that. But people are very concerned about the election, and so one of the things that I thought that we could talk about is sort of like mental health first aid for election week. So like leading up to the election and after the election. So in preparation and from my past experience, learning from them, so you got to learn from past experiences, folks. Mm-hmm. But I taking next week as a mental health week. And so I put on my syllabi for my students as well, let next week be a mental health week. I remember in 2016, I was teaching and students came in after the election and they were over it. They were distraught. I had, white women in my courses crying, talking about they feeling unsafe, so on and so forth. I had my colleagues coming and knocking on my door. How are you doing? How are you doing? I'm Black. But people's emotions were in a tizzy. Okay. So I said, well, this year, even that we're 4 years later, I'm going to allow this space for folks to do what they need to do, take care of themselves, and I'm going to be doing the same. Then when we get back in the classroom, we can go from there. So I just want to talk about some mental health first aid for the election. What do you have? I'm taking time off. I'm still going to be working, but I'm putting some space in there for self-care. What are you doing?
Honestly, I am continuing business as usual. I got things to do. I'll be doing them. Mm-hmm. I am not one to stay up and see who won. So I won't be doing that this year either. What I'm most looking forward to is the demise of all the text messages I'm getting from David, Michael, Marissa, April, and all the other people who have been in my business and who know, because apparently whether or not you've already voted is public knowledge. Mm-hmm. Who know that I have not early voted. So I'm just looking forward to them not texting me anymore.
So are these like robocalls or what?
It's like you don't get the election text messages.
No, see, I don't get my phone number out at these stores, so I don't
recall having done so.
How do they get your number?
They say it's public record. like they can't say whether or not or who you voted for, but whether or not you have voted, they have access to that information. So, and I don't know how they have access to my phone number, but either way, and I'm not early voting on purpose. I typically vote on election day, every election that they have, whether it's a national election or a local election. I vote the day of because I don't trust the government. And, I feel like there have been several scandals where certain votes were not counted, and a lot of them were early votes and absentee votes. So I vote the day of election to increase the probability of my vote actually being counted. And also, I early voted once, and I was in line for like an hour. But every time I voted on election day, it's been like 10 minutes. Like I just walk up, get in my ID, and there's already a thing available. So I've never had to wait. So that's part of the reason that it's my practice to vote on election day.
Well, no, that sounds good. I mean, if you can vote on election day and you want to, that's great. I know a lot of people, though, have been talking about the long lines. People have been going out with their lawn chairs and things. So it sounds like that's not, your plight in life. So that's good.
Early voting lines tend to be longer from my experience.
Okay. Yeah, and I've never done early voting lines. I usually voted the day of, as you said. This year, though, however, I did the mail-in ballot, and I did vote early. And like I've been Black since I got here in this particular incarnation on the planet. So
and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one
right. And so I don't trust the government. However, what I am doing is I'm trusting my guides, I'm trusting my ancestors, I'm trusting spirit that what will happen needs to happen. And if that includes my vote getting tallied so that we can get that entity that's currently possessing the White House to get out of the White House, then that's what will happen. So I'm not trusting the government, but I am trusting as I said, my higher powers. And so we did early mail-in ballot voting, and of course, just down the line, Democrat, because for me, it's, we're thinking people. And so it's not just like A or B choice. And so that's not typically the way that I think about these processes. But in this particular situation, it's like, this isn't just affecting me. I got to think about other people too. Whereas, because it's clear that like the white majority ain't gonna do it. Like they don't have nobody's interest in mind, but they don't. So we can't trust them. So but I was talking to my mama again, being Black. I was talking to my mama, and she was just like, I trust in God. So she was just like, whether it was Obama or Bush before him or whoever or Trump, I trust in God. But what I will say though is that I think, going back to the mental health first aid, I think that this particular presidency is not necessarily the policies, because again, we Black people, we always had to do it for ourselves, but it's the spirit of heaviness and disgusting, just wanton disregard for any facsimile of decorum and respect and humanity. So I think it's that.
Our humanity, he don't know.
He don't know her. He don't know her. Right. So yeah. I think that's something besides the space and the time, and business as usual, like you said, because in a way that keeps us in our purpose. It doesn't take us out of our purpose, right? And also thinking about others in this time and holding on to others. So community. So not only am I thinking about others, and when I actually casting my vote, but also thinking about others in this time, like supporting the people in my life and allowing them to support me, going to them for support around issues in my life are the sorts of things that I'm doing.
Yeah, I like you brought in a lot of good points that I like as well. One being the more universal perspective on the election. I am one who believes that there is purpose in all things, even things that are painful or uncomfortable. There's something valuable there, and I think we said before when we talked about how 45 has been abusing this nation. I had a conversation with my granddaddy about the election. And, you know, he was giving me his opinion and everything about how terrible Trump is. And I was like, you know, there is still purpose in him being where he is because he has exposed a lot of the cracks in the foundation. We knew the cracks were there because we've been Black every day. But I think it's important that now other people who were unaware of the cracks in the foundation have been made aware of the cracks in the foundation. And what they are choosing to do with that information then further educates us on how to engage or disengage with them. So that's valuable. At the same time, when it comes to voting in general, if I don't hear a candidate that I can readily get behind and be like, okay, you know, I would really enjoy this person being in charge and seeing what portions of their word they're gonna keep. Mm-hmm. Then I think about who do I need to vote against. And that's how I feel in this particular election. Oh, I told you Whitney and I discussed how the presidential candidates need to have an age limit, like they need to top out like athletes do. And I feel like both of these candidates are at the top of that threshold. So, and I know that being president has to be an extremely stressful job. I don't know if Biden's heart is going to hold up. But what I do know is that I fully plan to vote against Trump. So that's it. And like you said, I think that he said a lot of things that are completely insensitive, that are ignorant, downright stupid, that are inciting hate in others and giving hateful individuals backing to their hatred. And I don't appreciate any of that. So yeah, I'll be voting against him. And it's not a party vote for me. It's just I'm gonna vote against him. And that's it. And so that's how I'm choosing to take care of myself and rally for all the people who are also living in this day and age. And not just people here in this country, but in other countries, because foreign diplomacy is very important. And he is the type of personality that could very easily get this country attacked. I have not, well, I mean, the war with Iraq, they say it's with Iraq. We don't know who the war is really with. Has been an ongoing thing, basically all our adulthood. But aside from that, we've never been in a war on American soil, and I don't want to have that experience in my lifetime at all. And I feel like continuing to allow him to be the voice of this country is dangerous for us.
Ditto to everything you said. I totally agree. And so we just got to continue to take care of ourselves before, during, and after. So this week though, we are doing one of our new segments. So it is Black market.
I love the black market.
You love the black market. So what you got for us? What you got for us?
Okay, so I know last time I had a product. This time I have a dessert because y'all know I love a good pastry. Like,
me too.
I am a brownie, piece of cake type of girl. So I have her business card and I'll give you her information. Kay's Sweet Eats.
Ooh.
Those of you who are in Atlanta and specifically on the east side, you're up because Kay's is located in Avondale Estates. It's in like the little Tudor Central because all of the buildings look, Tudor style. But you can follow her on Instagram at Kay's Sweet Eats. And also on Facebook, same thing, Kay's Sweet Eats. Kay is really sweet. Every time I've been in there, I'm not gonna tell you how many times that is, but every time I've been, she was there and I got to meet her and talk to her, and I actually told her about our show. We had some things in common as far as doing energy healing and chakra work. So I'm quite sure that I'll end up seeing my sister in Christ again. My sister in the Lord, to do some other things. But she's just a very likable person. But in addition to making delicious cupcakes, she also makes whole cakes, layer cakes, and she teaches baking classes, which I thought was so cute. She's a Black woman. She has lots, beautiful skin, great personality, and delicious cupcakes. So go check out Kay's Sweet Eats in Avondale Estates.
Hey, listen.
I know I have to take you when you finally come and see me. I know that we are in the midst of COVID, but we're just going to have to figure out how to live in it because we don't know when it's going to end. So whenever you decide that you want to come and see me, I'll take you to Kay's.
No, I appreciate it. I still don't think I'm getting on a plane anytime soon.
Well, I'll come see you.
But, I do miss being in Atlanta. I would have been in Atlanta at least twice by now, this time of year.
I know. Yes, the end of the year.
Anyway, so my black market is actually Black Market Vintage. They are a curator collection, like Black African antiques. They do like vintage Jet magazines, Essence magazines, vintage books. I have a vintage book. It was a first edition of Kenneth Clark's book. Who's a Black psychologist. And so I got that. I've also have ordered a statue from them, as well as a door that I'm going to hang up in my new place. But this door, you can see the detail here.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All of these different etchings and carvings. So this was part of a door to a grain house. To a grain house in the Dogon Society in Africa, one of the Dogon villages. So I love that door, and I may buy the other one if they still have it available. But save up your coins to go get you something cute and vintage. And it's ran by two Black lesbians in BedStuy, New York. So I believe they're a couple, and I actually went to one of their stoop sales when I was living in New York, out in BedStuy, and so that was so cool. But they have great personalities. They are passionate about reclaiming, vintage Black memorabilia and things like that. And so it's just so great. So do yourself a favor, Google them. You'll find their Twitter, their Instagram, their website, and where you can shop now. You can still shop online. They'll ship it to you. But Google Black Market Vintage. Is the way they do it, though, is BLK MKT Vintage. So so look up Black Markets Vintage. And that's my Black Market for the week.
I love it. That door is beautiful. And it makes me think about Antique Roadshow. There was a point in my life where I was like addicted to that show because I love that they would, give evaluation on these people's items, and it was always something really interesting. So I love it. It's beautiful.
It brings me so much joy to be surrounded by African artifacts. And of course, I have no way of knowing if that's actually from.
If it really is right, you need to call Auntie Roach. Let them do the research for you.
I let them do the research. However, though, I'm happy to support a Black business, and it looks that way. And so it's part of life is about the meaning we give to it. And so I'm giving it that meaning that is from the lineage, right? And so it does not matter to me because I don't ever plan on selling it or anything like that anyway. How much it's worth or authenticating or anything like that. If you're one of those people, good for you. But supporting a Black business and having it be something that I find aesthetically pleasing and that represents African art is enough for me. So, but I love it. I love it. So let's do a replay. Right, and let's replay what we have for the people as far as our mental health first aid for the election.
Okay, so we're doing the replay and then the resource?
Yeah, let's do the replay and then the resources.
Okay, cool. So the replay, you gave us some great ones, basically taking a break from all the foolishness. I kind of always engaged in that mentality. So I guess I'll know the results of the election when I hear cries in the street. Or, somebody tells me what's up. But taking a break to manage and nurture your own mental health and well-being. I like what you said about attaching our own meaning to things. I think that can be useful all the time. So I'm gonna include that. Also, business as usual, because we've been Black for a long time, and we're gonna continue to be Black. And so what that means is continue to manage your life, reclaim your time. That's always a word, and it's always a move.
Always.
And it's always a choice. I really want our viewers to feel empowered to reclaim their time in whatever way they feel it necessary to do so, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, or if it's just, out here in these streets. Just because somebody asks you for $1, that don't mean you got to give it to them. It doesn't. It does not. So exercise your right to say no. Not everything is your mission. So I think those are pretty good.
And I also just want to add one more that you said, Keita, and that was about that everything has a meaning and a purpose. So regardless of what the results are, I think one of the ways in which we can walk and continue to fortify mental health is to, again, know that our purpose does not change.
Right, exactly.
Our purpose remains the same, and that using whatever the results of the election are as a way to continue to move you toward that purpose. That's one of the ways in which we can fortify mental health, because again, from an Afrocentric perspective, mental health is really walking in alignment with spirit. And so we have to trust that spirit is ordering and directing ourselves, no matter how painful, how baffling, how confusing it may be. So that's the replay. So we have resources too, though. What are the resources you got for us, Keita?
Okay, so I am a TCM fanatic. I love an old movie, especially if it's black and white. I watch the discussion they have prior to the film because, I like random facts. So I eat all that up, right? So I happened to see this film called Daughters of the Dust.
Oh,
For those of you who are countryer than I am, Daughters of the Dust. But I say daughters. So this is the cover of the film. But it is directed by a Black woman. I believe her name is Julie Davis. Let me make sure because I don't want to be giving this. Julie Dash is the director, and she's a Black woman. But the film is beautiful. And it has kind of like a haunting type of poignancy to it that you just feel because it's not one of the films that has a whole lot of dialogue. It's about this Geechee Gullah family who live on an island off the coast of South Carolina. For those of you who don't know, the Geechee Gullah people are basically descendants of West Africans, like the majority of us here in the U.S. But the difference with them is their location. So because they're located on the islands off the coast of Georgia and South Carolina, there was a lot of mainland influence that didn't reach them. And so they were able to maintain and hold on to a lot of the culture that was brought with them through their tribal ancestry. And I think that's a beautiful thing. The film itself, it does kind of touch on that because you see them doing certain things, or you may hear someone from a younger generation saying something to the matriarch of the family about, oh, that's old, that's hoodoo, that's voodoo. We don't need those anymore. We have Jesus now, is basically what they're saying. So there is a dynamic push and pull between the old and the new when it comes to ideas, when it comes to moving, when it comes to their perspective on their ancestry and their heritage. And the movie doesn't try to convince you of anything. It just shows you these people in their life experience. And to me, that's beautiful. And also being a Black woman, and the film is primarily Black women. And just all the different textures and tones of us were present when it comes to complexion and hair and all of those things. So it was just beautiful. And on those islands, they were indigo farmers. So you see a lot of them still have blue hands from working the indigo farms. And there's the juxtaposition of their blue Black hands against white because they always wear white because there was always cotton. So it's just beautifully filmed. It fed my spirit. It gave me insight that I didn't know I had. I'm someone who tends to act in a way that is spiritually compelled. So if I feel spirit compelling me in a certain direction, I'm taking action in that direction because to me, that is spiritual guidance. And some of the things that I've been compelled to do are some of the practices that they were doing. And I was like, oh my God, this part of my Africanness, so it was like, I just loved it. It just brought me such joy. So, and just the film of it itself is beautiful. I think they filmed the whole thing like only at dawn and dusk. So like the sun is just always at the right angle. It's just beautiful.
It sounds beautiful. I'm definitely going to check that out. I've heard of that film, and I know it's like critically acclaimed, but I've never actually sat down and watched it. So probably do that this weekend. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So that's our show for today. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, share it with a friend, and comment. Leave us comments. What are you thinking about? What are you doing for your mental health first aid preparedness kit for the and share also your Black market finds, your Black business.
Yeah, let us know so we can try it.
Yeah, definitely. We're always looking to support Black-owned businesses. That's what it's all about. Because, as Murphy Lee once said, we all we got,
Hello.
So we got to support our own. But we're going to go ahead and get on up out of here. So I love you, Keita.
I love you too.
See you next time.
All righty. Bye-bye.